Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some more Astral Chain. Today we're going to be talking about a very special ability called Slow Attack. Slow Attack is one of the most useful skills that you could have at your disposal, mainly because it slows down your enemy in a bubble of time for 2.5 seconds, letting you predict what their next ability is and complete your combo. This is insanely useful and almost vital in much later missions because of how difficult things can become and how easy it is to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of enemies coming your way, or the sheer power of the enemies that you fight against if you get them alone. But this really does help keep things at your advantage, making sure that you always have the upper hand against your enemies due to how you're able to proc this over and over again, even mid-combo. It's really great, and thankfully the ability does stack with each other on the same Legion. So in the case of the Beast Legion that you see on the screen right now, with a 6% plus 10%, we have a whopping 16%, which is a very good chance considering how often the Beast Legion can hit when you send him out with the ZL button. Very good because of the multiple hits, and I highly recommend putting this skill on any ability or Legion that has multiple hits on it. So one of the things I want to point out too is that with Slow Attack, it synergizes quite nicely with the hit rush ability of the Arrow Legion, and as you can see here, I don't actually have Slow Attack, but the reason why is because for those guys that are unfamiliar with hit rush, it disconnects the player from the Legion who goes off on their own and does the combo. In the case of the Arrow Legion, it's many arrows being thrown at the targets, and the good thing about this is that you can switch to your next Legion or whatever Legion you want, and all the abilities that that particular Legion that you switch to has equipped, it will apply to all the arrows being fired. So all the little hits will actually go have a 16% chance if I were to switch over to the Beast Legion that you see on the screen right now. Part of what makes this so nice and maybe a little bit balanced is the fact that you can't actually stack it, so you can't have 16% on the Arrow Legion and switch to the Beast Legion for a 32% chance, because that's a little bit broken, but it's still a very useful skill to keep in mind, and it's a great way of kind of gauging the situation, especially because the Beast Legion has the ability to kind of dodge every attack that comes his way. Very useful indeed. So the other thing I want to point out for the other abilities that we'll be doing for today's video to show off how awesome the Slow Attack will be is going to be my Axe Legion. For those guys that have already seen my Super Armor Omega video, this is basically the same build that I use. Critical rate plus 2% is always nice, and a Super Armor Omega to prevent me from flinching from all forms of melee attacks. I've also given me the Slow Attack plus 10% so I can switch to the Axe Legion. I'll miss out on 6%, but honestly, because of how often I hit, 6% doesn't make that much of a difference. And then I have the effect spread on the critical damage plus 40, which is great because he does crazy amounts of damage as it is if I attack from behind as a result of a slow attack or a chain bind. And then the anti-poison, anti-slime, which is useful for one of the enemies we'll be fighting in this video today. The next set of abilities that I want to show off is just going to be the quick cooldown on the Arrow Legion. Hit Rush does have a pretty lengthy cooldown on it, so I want to make sure that I can cut that as best as I can. And there's E-Convert plus 15, so with any red matter that I get, because I always start off my missions with the Arrow Legion because of how fast it is, so I'm just going to be able to have a little bit more energy packed in before I get to the actual fighting. Now, I also want to look at the skills. This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not experimenting with anything too crazy just yet, but I've given him the Hit Rush and the Power Charge for the Arrow Legion. Power Charge is insanely useful, and for those guys that are unfamiliar, the buffs that you apply, whether it's Power Charge or Speed Star, will apply to the player in every Legion that you have, so you want to make sure you can maximize the potential as best as you can before you go in for the really big damage. And then there's going to be the Axe Legion and the Beast Legion, who have the exact same set of skills. I want to have Speed Star readily available because, again, speed is very important for your DPS, and then the Auto Bind to make sure that if for whatever reason I don't proc the slow in time, or if I see the enemy about to leave the slow, then I can just Auto Bind them and then continue my combos and hopefully burst them down before they can retaliate. All in all, Slow Attack is insanely useful. It's not as super broken as you might think, but in lower difficulties it's still incredibly powerful. But then when you go ahead and then use it in the higher difficulties, this is definitely something you want to take into consideration as just one of the many resources you have at your disposal for when you're tackling the much more difficult fights. So without further ado, let's go ahead, cut to the demonstration, and see what Slow Attack looks like in action. So the main benefit of the build that I'm using right now is that if you're very familiar with where enemies spawn, and if you think you can do something about it, then the ability to slow down your enemies and just quickly get all your combos down is very, very powerful. This particular map that we're on is pretty brutal, a bit short. Essentially, it's just a very, very small map and a ton of powerful enemies that we have to fight against 2v1. So, lucky us. As soon as this guy spawns, immediately start hitting those buffs. Speed Star. Here we go. Start doing some combos. Use the most of our buffs as best we can. He's gonna go for an attack. Gotta stop him. Do I see any slows within this time frame? Yes, I do. As long as they're in that animation, you can just slow it down. That's why it's so effective. Go, and we're going to be good from behind, so that's going to be some crit damage. Excellent work. And thankfully the Hecate that was sniping at us is going to be, well, still a problem. This, in my opinion, is the most annoying enemy in Astral Chain. This, Hecate. Because it's almost impossible to know if it's technically on the ground or not. And, yeah, solid work. Solid work from anyone that thought this boss was a good idea. See, look at that. Yeah, that attack would have killed me if I wasn't blocking it. I need to figure out a better approach. Thankfully, Beast is insanely useful in fighting against Hecate. I just gotta be very careful with things here. Throw a bunch of fireballs at us. Not a problem. So spam some grenades. I despise this enemy, but spamming grenades is absolutely worth it in the grand scheme of things. Can't do the hit rush just yet. This is why I wanted that cooldown buff. There comes the axe. Finish it with a combo. Yes, there we go. Okay, so this is where the fun part happens. Because now we get to fight against Dog. Oh, and he dodged. That's not what I want. Oh, wait, wrong skill! Okay, Speed Star. Power Charge again. Oh, okay, run. Oh, escape plan, there we go. That could have been really bad. Okay, focus. You're cool. I should be able to burst this guy down. I hope. Come on, come on, come on. Nope, healing. Oh, I couldn't quite get the finish off for that one. Oh, okay, this is a tough story, but entirely doable still. Okay, so there's this. Just make sure we can get some slows ready. I should have just gone for the, no, not quite. Oh, there we go. Okay, I was thinking of like doing the chain counter, but I wasn't sure if the game would let me. Thankfully, the nice thing about having the auto bind is that you still have the chain out technically, so you can still do the chain bind. Okay, we are right on top of the part of the spot where the next wave is going to spawn, so we better make use of this best we can. So we got to really focus because we did very poorly with that fight. Okay, we have an enemy coming in. He might snipe us. Beam? Yeah, there it is. I hate that beam. It's going to one-shot me. That would have one-shot me. Okay, he's going for a swing. I have to be looking at both these characters at the same time. But if I can get a slow on the Tartarus while that guy finishes an attack, then we're good to go. He's gonna beam again. Not a problem. Oh boy, not close enough though. Listen very, very closely to what he's gonna do. Okay, so that's fine. Wait for him to do a beam attack if possible. Yes, there it is. Do your attack, my friend. That's not a beam attack. Come on. Come on, be predictable. Oh, that was scary. Oh boy. Can I escape? Yes! I can go for the attack. Oh, no, he's gonna beam! Finish off! Oh, okay. No, I should have been much more careful about that one, I think. Run. Yes! Thank you, dog. Oh, okay. You still gotta be careful, though. There it is. Do the combos. Come on, slow attack. Don't fail me now. He's gonna try to go for a beam again. Oh, this thing's nerve-wracking, but we just have to focus very, very carefully on this. Slow attack. No, not quite. No, switch to stay on beast. I have slow attack on the beast as well. Oh man, we just gotta be careful of this fight now. If he does the beam, I can actually focus him down for that one too. Come on. Slow attack? Anything. No, that's okay, we're good. Oh, close call. A little bit sloppy, particularly with that Cerberus and Enchiladas. The Enchiladas wave, but we've done nicely. So that's kind of the thing though, with the slow attack, as long as you're able to sort of play around that, and then note how you're able to predict your enemy's next move, and if the game gives you any form of crowd control, such as the stun grenades, you can really make some good use and prevent your enemy from doing basically anything, provided you can get the jump on them. One of the other things I want to talk about too, I am planning on making some guides for the later missions, because I know how difficult these can be. But all in all though, I think the best advice I can give right now in this moment is just, because of the way they restrict your inventory, and because they give you a set loadout of items, you have to pay really, really close attention to what those items are, and then use them to their fullest potential. Astral Chain's a really good game for teaching you guys how, through challenge, that because of the necessity of the items that you have, it lets you make much more effective and efficient use overall of how they should be used in any given mission. And that's part of the reason why I enjoy Astral Chain so much, is that it's a very challenging game, but I never feel like I don't deserve a win whenever I do. Even with these awesome builds that I have, if anything, it just helped me get there a little bit more easily, but it never made the game broken, which is why it's so fun. Anyways, guys, thank you very, very much for watching me on this one. This was a really tough one. I was actually surprised I was able to beat it on, I think it was like my 5th try. You guys probably don't know it right now because I edited it, but I actually did have quite a bit of tries for this particular recording session, which is really, really funny. But slow attack is an amazing tool overall, and definitely one you want to start using. The Arrow Legion does have an ability called slow shot as well, and something I may wish to consider experimenting around with. It's an 18-second cooldown, so it is a little bit faster than slower than Hit Rush, surprisingly. But if you have any cooldown reduction, then it might be something you might want to be into as well. Anyways, guys, thank you very, very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys next time as we cover more and more missions and more abilities and strategies and how to beat them. But until then, see you guys next time.